We will invite Katie Ketchum, our guest today, who wrote Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Solara show on KVMR this morning, and I'd like to welcome dear Katie Ketchum. Katie?
Hey, hello. Hi, Jan.
Good morning, our songstress, voice of the divine feminine. I've been talking about you all morning.
Oh, how sweet. It's great to hear your voice, too. Speaking of divine feminine there.
It's great to hear your voice. We're speaking to Katie Ketchum at katieketchum.com, an accomplished artist. Specifically, we have been talking about Mary Magdalene, how she was one of the feminine disciples. And these principles are coming back to earth through many angels, and I think you're one of those angels, Katie.
Oh, well, I'm honored. Thank you.
So great that you got up early. I know you have a busy day at her church. Let me just say a little bit about you first. You have the Dream Portal Studio Gallery in Sebastopol. You are a National Endowment for the Arts winner. What I have always loved about you, and I was jokingly saying, you were my children's music teacher 30 years ago. And you wrote Mary Cassatt at the time, and I was smitten with that, and I remember sponsoring you, and then you went and did a musical for Clara Schumann and Mary Magdalene, and you absolutely expanded the mystery of this Christed being. You direct the choir at her church in San Francisco. You run a place called the Art Womb. You do children's piano. I know you have taught chanting, and I think you've worn just about every hat in that county. And Katie, you are so beloved. So good morning. Happy Easter.
Good morning. Happy Easter to you, to everybody out there.
So I was reading some questions that my friend Jaap Remier, who has led tours in France about Mary Magdalene, but you yourself, he was saying, who is she? And I said, how perfect, because I remember you telling me when you wrote the musical, I said, why'd you write it? And you said, she told me to. So can you share that with us?
Well, it's not a huge process, but what would happen is I was wanting to write a new show, and I was looking through names of women, famous women in history, and when I got to Mary Magdalene, there were just chills all through my body. And then as I was writing it, I would hear a voice in my head saying, let's write that rap song that and then it came out in like 2 minutes or 10 minutes, or there seemed to be continual guidance through the entire show, and I could go on about that, but that's a little bit of it, and so there you go. Well,
the ballads are just sublime, but it's so funny. You couldn't hear me. You were over on the phone in the dark there, but I actually, 2 songs came at once, Hold Me, and also what I call your rock Mary Magdalene, ba-dum-ba-dum-bum-bum-bum. And she took you, I didn't mean for that to happen, but hey, I'm a new broadcaster. And she took you into some new areas. You did rap.
Yes, yeah. I kept saying to her, quote unquote, no, I'm not a rap singer. The idea came, and then I said, no, I cannot do that. That's beyond my scope. And then one morning I woke up and the whole, I started typing, and the whole song came out, and then that was it. And then I delivered it with a felt hat on and a movements. I got movements from a movie. I forgot the name of the movie, but anyway. So I did it, and it.
Yes, you certainly did.
some people cry. They said that it made them cry, and I don't know why, but that was the thing.
I'll tell you what part of me, the reason that they cried, Katie, is that you are so transparent and authentic, and her message was coming through for a lot of people.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, you get out of the way, and you let spirit move you. Plus, you have the best costumes in the world. I don't know how many hats and wigs I've seen you wear over the years. But you give women permission to be big and to play, be funny and passionate, and say, there you go, take it or leave it.
There you go, yeah. And do you know that it played 5 weeks, 7 nights a week at the Sacramento Theater Company?
Oh, my God, when?
This was in 2008.
Okay, and then you took it to New York as well.
Oh, it went Massachusetts. I toured around little towns there, and in San Francisco as well. Mm-hmm. But it went the furthest of it. Whenever she's involved, she wants success. I mean, it went the furthest of any of my projects without me pushing it. I mean, people just discovered it.
I get a chill on that. I think seeds were planted 2,000 years ago, and I don't know how many women tell me that in their spiritual awakening, the person that taps them on the shoulder is Mary Magdalene.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised because she's ambitious.
Yeah, she is. She's having you write rock music, you National Endowments for the Arts, and you write those beautiful sonnets, and you're classically trained. But I'll be playing some of those in a few minutes. I'm going to play most of your CD as much as I can get in. The ballads and the rock. My favorite is where you're singing as Mary Magdalene saying, that the Pope had you lying on your back.
I'm not comfortable in this position. That's what she's singing about.
Yeah, I think that the church finally got that straight. And I believe that she was a priestess of Isis. Mm-hmm. And that confusion of running energy and making it all sexualized, I think that that's something that's getting straightened out now. So has she been a teacher for you, the time that you walked with her and creating her music?
I think so. One of the messages that I felt that I got from her is that of every woman is important, every person is important, and I went down to there was a woman named Wanda Jackson who was the first woman of rock and roll in the 50s, and I went down to hear her in Fairfax, and she was in her 70s. She was up there singing rock and roll in her 70s, and I came away. I went up to her and I said, "Oh, you've been so inspiring because I feel like I'm too old to sing and blah blah blah." And she said, "No, keep singing no matter what." And I went away realizing that was the character. And it was hilarious. Here we are in Fairfax, and everybody's dancing, and suddenly she stops the entire show and gives her testimony to to Christ. and it was in that moment I went, "This is Mary Magdalene. This is her. This is the every woman." And so I got home and started. That was the character, the rockabilly Marlene, who is an analogy of Mary Magdalene, which shocks a lot of people because it's not, she's not a literary character, but that's what I feel, that Mary Magdalene, she's not a snob. She speaks to everyone.
I think to every woman. Yeah, she doesn't live in a cloud like Mother Mary all white. She's actually a passionate woman who walked on the ground barefoot. She wears red, which is that luscious, color of life. And I think you're right. I think sometimes the divine feminine with the rituals and the old ways of, it's limiting, and it's a little bit of separating. Of specialness. And speaking of Magdalene events, there is one that includes dancing and singing and jubilation. It's put on by Christy Michaels, and it's at Unity Church in Marin tonight on Easter, and I'll be there. Are you going to be able to stop by and say hello in those festivities?
I'm not sure, because this morning I'm directing a whole choir in San Francisco, and there's events all day. But whether I'm there in flesh, I will be there in spirit.
Absolutely. Yes, myself, I have to be up all night and then drive. Somehow, we'll just see. We do our best. We show up.
We do our best, yes.
So speaking of energy, what inspires you? What gives you your energy? Because you certainly are always breaking new barriers and always have wonderful, passionate energy.
Well, that's interesting you said that, because what gives me my energy is nature. That's really what feeds me, is going into nature and connecting somehow, whether it's walking or one of the big ways for me is soaking in hot water, in spring, and just always try. I mean, it's difficult because now I'm living in town in Sebastopol, but I make a point of that's what gives me my most inspiration, I would say, is being in nature.
Mm-hmm. So many times people will say that, especially that soaking. I think it balances out all those musical frequencies that you're putting out all the time. So, Katie, what is next? Do you have another?
Well, I'm really excited because in January I found a studio initially I was looking for another place to teach music, piano and voice classes, and the Methodist Church in Sebastopol offered me, I gave them a proposal, and they offered me half of the basement. Well, it's not the basement, but it's underneath the sanctuary of the church, and it's what I'm now calling the Dream Portal Studio Gallery. So I was, setting up the pianos and all of this, and suddenly I realized that it was big enough to have theater there. So in the summer, on Fridays, in July and August, I'm going to present excerpts from all my shows, all of those 3 shows, Mary Cassatt, Clara Schumann, and Mary Magdalene in the Dream Portal. Right, it's right across from Safeway on the main street, and there was a point in my career where I had wanted to go to New York, and there was a point in my 20s where I realized I wasn't going to go. I decided not to go. I was nervous about crime, et cetera, and survival. Mm-hmm. And the lady that really inspired me at that time, and I'd forgotten this, and it all came back, was Marta. Oh, I forgot her last name. Marta Bennett, I think was her name. And she had come from New York and bought an opera house, the Armagosa Opera House in Death Valley.
I just saw that video. It reminded me of you, Katie.
Yes, and I remember I lived in Las Vegas, and I remember wanting to have my own theater, and that was an old dream, and suddenly it has just blossomed. Suddenly it's happened, and I looked around that room, and I went, "Oh my gosh, here it is! This is my Broadway West. This is where I'm going to present my shows, and I don't have to I don't have to audition, and I don't have
Katie, you get to do it your way, and you've earned the right. You've been doing this work for so long, and there you go. It's you've landed.
I've landed. I know. I feel like I'm on top of the mountain. The dream,
yes,
is actualized.
And we can help and support each other. I have a TV show. Let's videotape it, and let's send it out around the world. Do you see how it works?
Oh, my gosh, Jen.
Oh, yes. 30 years ago, I sponsored you with Mary Cassatt, and here we are 30 years later. really making these intentional dreams come true. I hope women listening to this interview get it, that the puzzle pieces take a while to come together. Katie, I know your life hasn't been a bowl of cherries and singing to big, full audiences the whole time. In fact, share with us. People like to know what along your path was the biggest challenge or almost made you stop doing what you love to do.
Well,
or which challenge?
I think it was. I think one of the biggest challenges was when after I had a successful run at Sacramento Theater Company. I mean, I had 100 people every night giving me standing ovations for this show, this Mary Magdalene, and really surprising the people there. You know, they were surprised that people were so enthusiastic, and they don't typically get standing ovations for little shows in the smaller theater there, I don't think, because they were shocked. But so I came off of that. That was in 2008, and so I started contacting theaters. I thought, this is it. You know,
I've ready to go.
Things, ready to go. Contacted hundreds of theaters, and because of the recession at that time, they were not interested in original plays, and so it just it was a stillbirth in a way. So that was a huge disappointment and challenge. You know, even locally, I couldn't get people here interested in producing it, and so that was. I mean, there's been a lot of them along the way. Another huge one was when I look back, is I happened to have, through circumstances, lunch or dinner with the man who wrote "Only You" for the Platters.
Oh, yes. Fabulous.
Fantastic composer. And we got along really well. I was sitting, just chatting. He had heard some of my songs, and he loved them. And then at the end of dinner, he said, you know, it's too bad that you're not black, because we're auditioning for a lead female singer. And I did. I mean, that's been the story of my life. Just, you know, always in the wrong place at the wrong time.
It's the zigzag. And Katie, it's made you who you are. You have such humility, and you have the deepest bucket of talent. I swear to God. And you're so inspirational. What we're going to do is we're going to wrap up the interview now. So we have time for people to hear your music and let you get on your way to her church. You are fabulous. I thank you for being here, being the container for the Mary Magdalene show and the future theater, the Dream Portal in Sebastopol, and tell people how they can contact you or how they can support you. What would you like? If you had a magic wand, if people could contact you and support you, what do you want?
Well, I think that one of the biggest things is to spread my songs. They're my children, and to spread them all over the world. So your idea and offer of filming, that's really exciting.
We're going to do it.
And then attending, you know, either out here or wherever I am, that's something I love, you know, is sharing my songs and my humor. And also, too, I did want to mention my age, because I think it's inspirational. I'm 64 this year, and I just, it just keeps getting better.
Going on 21.
Yeah, the visions and the blossoming are just, it's the best. It's the best time.
Well, Mary Magdalene's 2,000 years old, and her message is just coming out now. So she's been very patient.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie, for being such a great guest. And people can find you at katieketchum.com. And I'm going to play some of your music. And can they find their music on Amazon?
Yeah, on iTunes. Yeah, if you go to katieketchum.com, there's the, and you know, you go to the music, click music, and then it goes. You can download it from iTunes. And then also recently, I have a brand new song called 4 Elements Suite, and there's 2 public ones on YouTube. So if you look up 4 Elements, Katie Ketchum, you can get a couple of free songs of my latest about water and earth, beautiful songs about those. So anyway.
Excellent. Thank you, Katie, and you have the best Easter ever. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, you too. Thank you, Jen.
Have a great day. Take care.
Okay, you too. Bye.
Bye-bye. And here we are with Katie Ketchum's Mary Magdalene CD.
It seems to bother them that he lives down the road. How could God be one of us when the Messiah comes? We'll not know where he's from. He'll have rivers flowing from his innermost heart. He'll have rivers flowing from his innermost heart. This man from Nazareth, his parents we all know. How could he be the Son of God? When the Messiah comes, we'll not know where he's from. He will be the bread which gives eternal life. He will be the bread which gives eternal life. And then he heals on the Sabbath. And then he tells us he is God. He wants us all to eat his body, to live forever. It seems to bother them that he lives down the road. If they would just accept his love, does it matter who he seems to be? Just the love that he wants us to share. Just the love that he wants us to share. This man from Nazareth, he lives down the road. In my heart I see a stranger, on my hand a ring, around my head a garland flowing. Pray this not be a dream. Will I ever know this stranger? Ever know his name? Every day whispers to me, true heart, find your way. Take my hand to your heart. Press my lips to thine. Hold on, precious jewel, true love of mine. True love of mine. True love of mine. Oh, Isis, Isis, goddess with many faces, come to our temple, dwell in your shrine. Oh, Isis, Isis, show me your mystery so I may join with the divine. I gave him all the mysteries the goddess Isis taught. When he died and went to hell, I think that he forgot. 'Cause all he said when he got to hell was, "Get me out, get me out." I dialed him on my cell phone and I asked him not to fear. All you have to do, dear, is pretend that I am near. And then I asked the great goddess Isis if she could help us in this scary crisis. She told me what she did with her man Osiris. Well, it almost rhymes. She made a member out of clay. He returned to life that day. Jesus was not satisfied with anything I'd say. He was not Osiris, and he did not need the clay. He made that clear. And all he said was, "Get me out, get me out." And then I whispered softly, just between us, "It has to do